Hello and welcome to German Lessons with Mr. Ferguson. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Deutschunterricht mit Herrn Ferguson. Diese 5. grammatische Stunde, the 5th grammar lesson, ist der Genitiv, the genitive case. Before wir anfangen, please remember to like this video, bitte klickt Gefällt mir, and to subscribe to my channel, so that I can keep helping you with your German. Bitte vergesst nicht zu abonnieren. If you're enjoying my videos, please consider buying me a coffee by clicking the banner now. All contributions are gratefully received and allow me to continue to bring you new and exciting German content whilst keeping it free to access on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who've already contributed. It's very much appreciated. Vielen Dank. If you're not sure what the case system in German is and you don't know how the nominative case works, or if you need a recap of what a definite or indefinite article is, start by watching the second video in this grammar playlist, which is about the nominative case, by clicking here. The 4 cases in German are called nominative, accusative, dative and genitive, and this lesson will focus on the genitive case. So far, we have encountered the following articles in German. In the nominative, we have the definite articles der, die, das and die, and the indefinite articles eine, ein and keine. In the accusative, we have den, die, das and die, and einen, eine, ein and keine. And in the dative, we have the definite articles dem, der, dem, den, plus an additional letter n on the dative plural noun if it can take one. And we also have the indefinite articles einem, einer, einem and keinen with the extra n. In the genitive case, the definite articles are des for masculine nouns, and the noun will receive an extra letter s or es, depending on the syllables. For example, one-syllable nouns, like Mann, will receive an es, for example, des Mannes. Two-syllable nouns, like Bruder, receive a single letter s, for example, des Bruders. We have der for feminine nouns, and des plus s or es for neuter nouns, which works exactly the same as the masculine. And we have der for plural nouns. And the indefinite articles are eines plus s or es for masculine nouns, einer for feminine nouns, eines plus s or es for neuter nouns, and keiner for plural nouns. These articles, while they normally mean the and a, in the genitive case we should think of them as carrying the meaning of the or of a, and I'll show you what I mean. We use the genitive case to show possession. So in English, we either say of, such as a friend of my father, or we use an apostrophe, such as my father's friend. In German, we can't use the apostrophe, so everything has to be reworded to become of the, of a, of my, etc. It's easy to show you what I mean with some English examples. The man's car would need to be reworded to become the car of the man. The advantages of the internet is already in the correct form, so that's okay. My mother's glasses would need to become the glasses of my mother. In German, these phrases would be das Auto, nominative neuter, des Mannes, genitive masculine. Die Vorteile, nominative plural, des Internets, genitive neuter. Die Brille, nominative feminine, meiner Mutter, genitive feminine. Have a look at these English sentences and think about how you would reword the sentence to remove the apostrophe and include the word of. My brother's dog. His sister's cat. The first phrase would become the dog of my brother, and the second would become the cat of his sister. This is the most common way to encounter the genitive case, but it can also be triggered. That means when you use a special word, you have to use the genitive after this. And these special words are called prepositions, and they have specific meanings. For the genitive case, there's no easy acronym to use to memorize the prepositions, but I tend to use we waits, which, while grammatically incorrect, reminds me of Gollum from the Lord of the Rings films, and this helps me remember that the genitive is all about possession. wegen, meaning because of. For example, wegen des Wetters, because of the weather. Während, during or for the duration of. For example, während des Filmes, during the film. Außerhalb, outside or outside of. For example, außerhalb der Schule, outside of the school. Innerhalb, inside of. For example, innerhalb eines Gebäudes, inside a building. Trotz, in spite of. For example, trotz des Wetters, in spite of the weather. Statt, instead of. For example, statt des Computers, instead of the computer. You might also see the word anstatt, meaning instead of, but this works and means exactly the same as statt. There are other prepositions which trigger the genitive case, and the most important one of these to know is dank, meaning thanks to. And I can't seem to fit this in my acronym, but it is useful to know. For example, dank meines Vaters, thanks to my father. The final thing you need to know about the genitive case is that the pronouns I, you, he, she, etc. change. But the good news is that these change in exactly the same way as they did in the dative case. Remember to go back and watch the dative case lesson if you haven't done already by clicking here. In the genitive case, as they did in the dative case, the nominative German pronouns ich, du, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie and sie change like this. Ich becomes mir, du becomes dir, becomes ihm, sie becomes ihr, es becomes ihm, wir becomes uns, ihr becomes euch, sie becomes ihnen with a capital I because it's formal, and sie becomes ihnen with a lowercase I. For example, because of me, wegen mir, not wegen ich. Thanks to her, dank ihr, not dank sie. Instead of him, statt ihm, not statt So, that's a brief summary of the genitive case. It's considered to be a difficult case, but I don't think it's as hard as the dative case, and it has the added bonus of sounding very impressive to native German speakers. Do note, though, that in some regions of the German-speaking world, the dative case has replaced the genitive case, and while people will still understand the genitive, you might hear things like wegen dem Wetter, rather than wegen des Wetters, to mean because of the weather. It's a good idea to pause the video now to recap how the articles change from the nominative case to the genitive case, and what I mean by possession, which prepositions trigger the genitive, and how the pronouns change in the genitive. Habe ich etwas vergessen? If you're a native German speaker and you think I've left out some important information about the genitive case, der Genitiv or der Wesfall, please write a comment below. Bitte schreibt einen Kommentar. Also, please remember to click subscribe to receive all of my German lesson videos, language learning tips and updates. You can also follow me on Instagram with the username Herr Ferguson and on Twitter under @Herr Ferguson. Otherwise, from me, it's Danke und auf Wiedersehen.